This conference will now be recorded.
All up Swiss Road?
Okay, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I believe our first public hearing is for our sewer rate increase. Could you read the public hearing? Sure.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Placid will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 4:30 PM in person at North Elba Town Hall, 2693 Main Street, 3rd floor, Lake Placid, New York, and go-to meeting to consider a proposed increase in sewer rates. A link to the go-to meeting will be publicized on the Village of Lake Placid website on Friday, July 1st, 2022. A complete copy of this proposal may be found on the village website at villageoflakeplacid.ny.gov, or you may obtain a copy by emailing the village clerk at lpclerk@villageoflakeplacid.ny.gov. All interested persons are invited to participate in the public hearing and will be given an opportunity to be heard. Signed, Anita A. Espling, Village Clerk.
Okay, I'd like to call this public hearing open. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for this water and sewer, or the sewer rate increase? Any of our viewers at home, online? Any comments or questions from the board? Well, I would say good job, Mindy, on getting the word out, explaining to everyone what was needed and why, that no one had any further questions. But I do believe, as Janet will probably tell me, we do need to keep this meeting
We
open.
keep it open for a little bit in case somebody's late coming on.
Okay.
Did you, were any comments made?
No, I spoke with the paper prior to, based on what information was put on the website, and I think she wrote an article. I didn't even see it. But it was essentially just kind of going over how much the rate increase was going to be and why we were doing it. And when the last time the rates were increased, which I didn't realize until looking way back, the last time rates went up was 2006. So.
Yeah, that was in the local law.
So it's not a substantial increase, but it will at least help along the way.
And our technical problem before wasn't that people couldn't hear us, it was that we couldn't hear them, is that correct, before?
No, they couldn't hear us.
So, it seems like it's.
We tested it.
Well, it seemed that way the last time too, and it wasn't, but we tested it with Marty and he said we're good.
Yeah.
They're not recording.
It's recording.
Nefton, can you hear us? One down.
He's on mute.
Just wondering if you could hear us.
Yeah, but he has to unmute himself to answer.
Nefton, if you can hear, oh, there we go.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
We'd had some
you.
problems at the last meeting. We're just making sure people could hear and respond. Thank you. Okay, and while we're waiting the time to see if anyone does have a comment, Peter, why don't you, it's not sewer, but it is water,
About the two,
drinking fountain.
yeah, Brad said this, he can get the wall-mounted drinking fountains, they're like $3,500 a piece, they are not refrigerated. Like, not cold water, warm water, because they're made for outside, to mount on the bathroom and at the beach house, at the bottom of the beach house.
They're bottle
So-
fillers.
Bottle fillers, yes, correct.
Both bathrooms.
Well, the bathroom, in front of the bathroom by the beach house, and in front of the bathroom, outside the bathroom at the MBT lot.
So one's gonna be internal in the beach house, the other one's gonna be external.
I think they're both extra.
No, external.
I was thinking about the other bathroom in the big lot too, across from.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Well,
They're kind of spaced out.
even if we get two in there, I mean, we do want to leave something for the school
Yeah.
efforts.
Oh, so yeah, that I will send out an email. I met with just Ellen and the student that's going to be replacing her, and Tiffany, who works with works, she's the service industry she's been working with. They received a bunch of quotes for either just external and internal refrigerated, not refrigerated, and they're starting to get a couple more quotes to make sure. And I said that like what the sentiment of the board was, the least expensive non-filtered, because the filter at school is going to be, they replace them like once a month. The more,
Really?
Yeah.
The water plugs it, our water plugs a filter up that quickly?
It's like
What the
6
heck's in
weeks.
our water?
6 weeks. I think once our filters are replaced, I think a lot of it is maybe
Sediment.
the sediment in the filters.
Depends what micron filter they use too.
Yeah, it's typical. I think it's one of the higher end sort of the water bottle, but that's the experience. The more at the middle high school, the more they put in, the less impactful that was because there was many of them. That's what the custodian was saying. So I don't know, the unfiltered one may, it's going to come with an additional cost. The filtered and refrigerated. Obviously.
Peter, do either one of these allow you to just get a drink or filter alcohol or a purely water bottle?
I do not.
Don't know.
Yeah, I'll find out for next Tuesday.
My understanding is the ones that are mounted on the bathrooms will be refrigerated. The post ones with the dog bowls and the water fountain will not be refrigerated because they're out in the sidewalk.
So what about the one we'll say that if the $3,500 one is mounted on a building?
That
it
should
is
be refrigerated is my understanding because I'm the one that looked at all the
And you
information.
could get a drink from it without a bottle?
Yes.
Okay.
Both, fill bottle and drink from it.
It'll keep the pipes warm enough.
There's something that they do to
Okay.
keep them.
Well, not, they talk about.
Well, in the winter, you drain
In the
it.
wintertime.
It'll be
In the winter, they'd be
Okay.
shut off.
Okay, and drain, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was the biggest sort of, I wanted a menu so then we came to what, then we could decide what.
So I guess the decision we'll have to make then is, do we want something that maybe doesn't have all the specs that we want? Or do we want to wait and let the process go through?
We'll have something by next week and then it's up to, say, the
Okay.
board to say, okay, here's the cost that they seem to have gotten.
Okay.
And compare it against what Brad and Peter have received and then whatever the board decides.
Okay,
What's
good.
most appropriate.
Are you good, or do you look like you have
Yeah,
questions?
I mean, perhaps I misunderstood that the wall-mounted one was not refrigerated. I thought Brad said that.
No, there are options that,
Yeah.
you can have non-refrigerated. They're less expensive, but they're non-refrigerated.
Like you said, filtered.
Lauren, we opened the public hearing. Do you have any questions in addition to what I talked to you about already?
This is for the sewers, yeah.
Just to catch you up, nobody else has had a
Yeah,
comment.
so I figured I'd
You're our
ask.
one and only call.
Okay. I don't have a question, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
We spoke at length, back and forth.
Well, like I said, thank you, Mindy, for all that you did getting out ahead of this and informing
Well, I
everyone.
think Lauren for the article.
Good
It
team.
was out.
Okay, so water bottles, fillers, we'll wait until next week. Hear what Jason has to say. That'll be just in time for our workshop. Well, and let's face it, it doesn't require a board meeting to approve buying a water filter. I think as mayor, I can probably do that, so. Is that
Depends
correct?
on the cost.
Depends on the cost.
What does the cost become?
Well, you've got a whole procurement policy that talks about even under a certain amount, you
Yeah,
have
okay.
to make the calls to get it,
Okay,
ask around.
And they've been producing quotes from like, say, Holder's and other.
good, okay. Well, we can't start the next one until whatever, so.
Sure.
This is the hard part. If you allow 5 minutes, it'll take 20, and if you allow 15, it'll take 5. Did you have a good quarter?
Good yourself?
Very good. Got around the golf in,
Having a good time.
life is good.
An art movie. That's not design, can't do it on the warrant. I can't do it on the warrant. That's the hard thing, he was on the warrant.
That's a platform that Harry Potter gets on to go on board.
We're just like making it rain.
Those are the glasses that we, those last year, so. Fourth of July theme. My son was Hers is much larger than mine. They're both huge space. And a lady at the nail salon asked me the same thing. As soon as I said, "Oh, my grandkids watch it."
If they did snow.
We have not been to the Harry Potter world.
I went right after they opened, and I was like, a little disappointed, because you couldn't go get in the building, you could just like shop on the outside of the building, so now you can actually go and shop. So we need a band, we got a band too.
Last time I was there,
Remember when
we played golf.
we used to get the Canadian
And we
bands,
got,
yes.
he said, you like Harry Potter? I didn't want to create everything. Just got to-
Wow.
He said, if I gave you 2 classes, where we go? And we sort it all up. This was probably considered the worst. The day we went, they were forecasting severe thunderstorms. So we're there, and
And the other one that I
it's
thought
just,
was
by noon,
Right.
storms never
That's
came.
time to go.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like, I went on that,
I would think they
roller
would have
coaster
them.
ride, it used like an hour to 15 minutes to get in. The only thing delayed me was walking through the side. It was that quick. I went through it,
Was
so
that,
it's really close, so I went through it, and 20 minutes later, she goes, what happened? I said, I'm done. Everywhere we went, we talk about the annual tree. Once in a lifetime, you get tickets and not have anyone there.
Yeah, I love that. It's fun, all of it's fun. You want to bring Brittany there, because they have Marvel Comics and Cat in the Hat.
This is an hour ago.
Sue hates all rides so badly that they had a kiddie ride. And she goes, I said,
He didn't mark it. That's not good.
and they wouldn't let us on because she was too old. Kind of discrimination, but I could go if I had a child.
So who they have?
Sue gets disoriented spatially.
Yeah. I don't like roller coasters, but I like the
He
other
can
rides.
do roller coasters, he can't do the virtual reality things.
Oh,
Where
interesting.
things like-
Oh, you see, I like those. I'm okay with that.
He hates them.
I don't like roller coasters for anything that drops too quickly where your stomach drops with it.
That's my favorite.
Oh, I can't stand that feeling.
He said he's too.
It's part of the training when you're a pilot is spatial disorientation, trying to get you to.
Yeah, right, right.
Vertigo.
Okay.
Okay, at this point, we'll close the public hearing on the sewer meeting. At
4:42.
Okay, Wayne, did you have a comment on the water for the sewer rates?
No.
Okay.
Mhm.
We have to wait for quarter up, right?
To open the other one, but you could close this one.
He just did.
I missed it.
Janet, do you think I'm nuts in the morning when you see me now?
Yeah.
We're in the car, we go like this, because I wave to Janet all the time, and
I don't know.
she's like straight on the road, so I'm better at the
Because that
intersection.
intersection, you have to be very careful.
Oh, I know,
Somebody's gonna get whacked there one day.
but now my daughter just thinks it's hilarious.
Station Street,
It's
Amityville
Janet.
Road, Old Military, because going out to Amityville, you look, that fence is in the way, you look.
And the tree, yeah. I
Yeah,
agree
you
with
gotta bust way out.
Obviously, there's no way that zoning could have stopped them from putting it there, but it's their property, but it does make it tough.
Well, and in the wintertime, if you're going at Abbeville towards the school, if they have a big snowbank right there, it's always hard.
Okay, my watch says it is 4:45. Let us open the public hearing. Anita, would you read the public notice? Sure.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Placid will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 4:45 PM in person at North Elba Town Hall, 2693 Main Street, 3rd floor, Lake Placid, New York, and via GoToMeeting to consider proposed local law number 3 of 2022, a local law to amend Chapter 222 of the Code of the Village of Lake Placid in various respects. A link to the GoToMeeting will be publicized on the Village of Lake Placid website on Friday, July 1st, 2022. A complete copy of this proposed local law may be found on the village website at villageoflakeplacid.ny.gov, or you may obtain a copy by emailing the village clerk at lpclerk@villageoflakeplacid.ny.gov. All interested persons are invited to participate in the public hearing and will be given an opportunity to be heard. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. Signed, Anita A. Espling, Village Clerk.
Okay, and I would just say before we allow people to speak, that if anyone does want to speak, please keep it till 2 minutes or less, because if there are a lot of people, we have to be done in 15. Try as close as we can to 15 minutes. Does anyone want to speak to this public hearing? Quiet again. I guess I would have a question for Janet. At this point, when we vote, at this point, all we do is vote yes or no?
Well, approve or not approve?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any reason to wait at this point, or should we just have a vote?
No, you can't vote in
It's not
the
regular.
Oh, I'm
public
sorry.
hearing.
Thank you for keeping it straight.
Do you guys know anything about traffic on Hillcrest?
About
What's
what?
that?
I might. Is there a 5 o'clock meeting? Is there a 5 o'clock meeting too?
We're going to keep going right till 6:30. You want to keep following us?
We have the regular 5 o'clock Village Board meeting.
Oh, okay.
That, the village, yeah, it's coming up.
But the town's having a,
So they are having 2 public hearings starting at 5, and then at 5:30, we will all convene together. Presumably, we will have finished this meeting, we hope. And that's when we will hear Dean's presentation to both boards. And then the town will have their regular meeting after Dean's presentation.
I think though, I can speak to what you're probably here for. I would say it'll be interesting now that the detours are gone, to see if traffic does or doesn't change. Are you talking about speed on
Yeah,
Hillcrest?
somebody told me they were having a meeting at 5. Oh, no.
To my knowledge.
We received some emails about that today, and I recommended anybody who wants to come just talk to the board. At the end of the regular board meeting, the mayor asks if anyone has comments. So I said people could come speak at that time,
Okay.
but there's not a meeting specific to that issue.
Also, the other thing that can be done is we have a new mobile board, a radar board that flashes your speed. You might have seen it on Wi-Fi. Now the park side isn't the bypass from Main Street. I'm sure that could be moved up there. And if you have any concerns, feel free to either come see me or Chuck Dobson, Sergeant Dobson, or
Okay.
Chief Dobson.
Walking up there seems safe, doesn't
The
it?
what?
Walking on Hillcrest seems relatively safe, doesn't it?
I know I've seen comments from people saying sidewalks, but you'd have to cut into everybody's lawn.
Yeah, the only thing I think is, and obviously I have an interest because I live on Hillcrest. The one thing I think is, and of course, but when you drive down Hillcrest, if you're coming up Marcy Road, and it's partially my fault, but it's very hard to turn left on Hillcrest because number one is we park our cars there now. And also sometimes there is a backup because, cars are going down Hillcrest. my I know some of the people want speed bumps and other things, but my suggestion is, you have a stop sign down the street on, whatever,
Two of them,
yeah.
four-way stops, which you're
Yeah,
referring to.
I think if you put a stop sign on there, it might at least just back up, kind of, Marcy Road and turn on to Hillcrest, And then, of course, it would slow car down to, and obviously, that's the
Sergeant Dobson, I know you were saying that. Chief Dobson, I know you were saying that, is a wealth of knowledge on what can and can't be done. As far as what is required to have a four-way or a three-way stop. I would suggest starting with him.
Okay.
And then we can make, he either, whatever you two work out, if it's a good idea, we'll be happy to listen to it, say in a workshop. If that would help you.
And do you remember the stop signs when Roby was mayor, they were put in because of for speed control reasons. When we were kids, there was no stop signs there.
Right, yeah, I don't remember when I wasn't here when
That's when the Greenwood Street stop sign, the old one, and the Pine Street, now Elm Street.
That's just, like I said, obviously I haven't been interested, but that's just my observation with the cars company,
Probably saw more traffic as people were bailing out of the Main Street.
Yeah, I think
Back up.
you did, but you know what? To me, at least in the last week since it's been closed, or whatever, it hasn't, it hasn't changed. In other words, I don't see, you tell me here, I don't see.
There's more people in town, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think the traffic is still roughly the same. Now, we're not getting trucks and all that from the road, so I think the cars haven't changed much. But, yeah, I can talk to you.
Start with Chuck. We still have we closed our public hearing on sewer rates. Hopefully that's not why you were here. And we still have 8 more minutes for our public hearing on the SDR variant. Did you have any comments?
No, Mirror Lake regulations.
Mirror Lake regulations.
They're like in Mill Pond.
Yeah, I was confused there. It's going to be a fun.
There's a lot of
it's over.
subjects tonight.
But no comments either way.
No, I think it's great. There's going to be a 5-mile-per-hour speed limit. Pretty much.
Keep the lake family friendly.
Totally, and swimmer friendly.
Yes. Speaking of which, did anyone hear anything more from Canoe and Kayak?
Well, we got all the things that you required, so they're good to go.
Oh, so they are planning, okay.
Yep,
They made a deal with Northwood apparently.
yeah, and they gave us their insurance and it's what's required, so.
Okay. They promised underneath swimmers over, so. Well, fortunately, it is just kayaks, and they'll have a lot better visibility and the ability to stop.
Does anybody let MJ know?
Good question.
Yeah, I didn't, because she wasn't really involved with me on it, I just
thinking-
let Chuck know.
Yeah, but I'm thinking because her
Iron Man
liaison
contract.
with Iron Man, we ought to let
Oh,
them
I
know.
could do that.
Yeah, that was one of the requirements. He was supposed to talk to him, so.
Oh, okay, I'll make sure.
What were the requirements? Northwood, insurance, Mary Jane, was there another one?
I only knew about Northwood and the insurance,
Okay.
so, but I'll let MJ know too.
Yeah, okay. Because that could stop the whole thing if it's in the Iron Man contract if they can't.
They couldn't shut down the lake.
It's in the
It's in the
contract
contract.
for the
Yeah,
week,
really?
week of
Sure,
the
it's the
race.
week before and the week after. I don't know the exact language, if it's in the actual Ironman course or the entire lake, but it would
We
be
don't,
worth,
it's not signed, so it doesn't.
okay, still wouldn't be bad to run that by Mary Jane.
I'll let her know.
Kind of for last year.
Yeah.
But for this year, we still have to follow the contract.
There is no
There
contract
is
for
no
this year.
contract.
They're kind of that.
There is, yeah.
No, 1 out of 3.
Right,
This is the
but
first out of
this
3
is the
with
one,
some
this
signed
is the
contract.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's not
there's
signed?
there's no signed contract.
that's right.
Right now, there is no contract. We're having a race without a contract.
We approved it last year for this year's as a way to start, like, the process of showing that they did
But not on
adjustments
paper.
over one.
We should do it before the race.
Well, I made comments and they haven't come back.
I was gonna say, I've seen plenty of comments on the contract. I haven't seen any responses.
It's better than the original version, that's for sure.
Mhm. Has anyone contacted the sports council or whatever, knowing that this is going to be a subcommittee, potential subcommittee of their organization?
You mean the Adirondack Sports Council?
Yeah.
The one. Isn't that one everybody uses, or what is the?
Some other
The Lake
entity.
Placid North Alva Sports Council.
It's just like the white face in, the white in.
Yeah, white face lodge.
That's so confusing. White face lodge, white face in, white face lodge, like Placid Lodge.
Yeah.
Which one are you talking about?
Well, when the lodge burned, remember the fire department was ready to break down the door of the white face
Lodge.
on the road.
Yeah.
Ready to break the kitchen door down because they thought there was a fire.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone responded to the knock and opened it before it fell to their feet. Getting ready to get a new Apple computer. I'm wondering if it's going to have a different charger. Since I have two for the old one.
Oh, I'm sure, well, if you get a new one, it's gonna be a USB-C. So then it'll like, you'll still get this, most likely, and then it's just, but these failed, so I would pick up an extra one as well. Easy if you're having it.
How does that plug in now? Or the other one goes by magnet?
Oh, no, this is just a USB-C, so
That's it.
I would be very careful. Because you would break it.
I have a head start on that without children or dogs, so. Okay. Are you gonna stay with us, Andy, until 7?
No. I'm just waiting, I think some of the other people, you know, the reason why I showed up was because I kept getting emails and people were saying they're all showing up at 5 o'clock. So,
Is that why you're here, Wayne?
come on.
Speed limits on Hillcrest?
Oh, no.
That's your neighborhood, okay?
All the neighbors were, sending emails.
Faster down Elm Street.
I tell you, that's one thing that has noticed.
Yes.
Awful lot of traffic down
You think that's because of the detour, for the construction?
there. Oh, yeah.
So hopefully that will go away now. And as I've said, I can't make any promises, but there's a 90% chance the detour is not
You
coming
know, the
back.
lights not there.
I think if it does come back, the only reason it'll come back is so that they can complete the job in just 10 days instead of having to drag it
Lights
out.
not there, but some people
And I don't know if they're
cross-
gonna be able to keep the schedule, but they're hopefully talking about mid-September, starting to get done that, they're done.
Put one back.
So things are way ahead of schedule.
I could have missed it, but if it's there, it's not.
Okay, we go by the town hall clock. I heard the chime.
This one?
At this point, we'll close the public hearing on the
It's 4:50, yeah.
Mirror Lakes law. I guess it's Mirror Lake and Mill Pond, right?
Amendment to the Parks and Recreation local law dealing with Mirror Lake and Mill Pond Drive.
Thank you. Okay, and at this point then, let's open up the regular board meeting.
I think you have to wait till 5 o'clock.
I heard the clock. Your clock. And we gotta go by the castle.
Well, it's being recorded, so I think you have to show that.
I tried.
You have a minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think
Okay.
because it's being recorded, it better be accurate.
It's here on this the rule 2022 pass.
Yeah.
He was asking if the law passed, which we were voting on.
It hasn't been voted on yet.
Okay, thank you.
See how they do with Apple. Yep, they're on Apple time. Okay, at this point, we will now open up the regular board meeting. Call this meeting to order. We've had our public hearings on both the Parks and Recreation and sewer rates. Our first clerk item is special board meeting minutes. All had a chance to review them. Any comments or questions?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, Anita. Public hearing and regular board meetings from June 6th.
So moved.
Wait,
Wait, but June
from
20th.
June 20th. So I don't think I voted no for the general budget.
Yeah,
I have a
saw
note.
that.
I have a nay here.
Oh, that was a copy and paste error. I am sorry, Jackie.
That's okay.
I will correct that. Thank you.
I like she did last year on
Yeah,
mine.
I
I did vote
No,
no
my
last year.
apologies.
Okay, no.
That is-
Jackie, this was actually a test we do with all the new people. See if they're reading the minutes.
Did I pass?
You did very well.
I was gonna say, we know Jackie reads the minutes, so yes, my apologies. That will be fixed for the record.
Hey, sometimes you just wonder, maybe I did say no, but I didn't think I did.
So I know Peter made the motion. Who seconded?
As a
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Okay, and that brings us to item C, which is the proposed local law for the sewer rates. Any comments or questions there? Motion to accept.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Good job, Mindy. D, proposed local law, Mirror Lake regulations. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good job, thank you,
Now
Bill.
we passed it in Everton.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item E, decision short-term rental variance request. Are there any comments or questions? And if not, I believe this is a roll call vote, Jan.
yes, but I think there should be some discussion
Okay,
on the findings of fact and conclusions to make
okay,
sure they're in the record.
okay. Would you just like us to put them in the record, or would you like them read? or-
No, we can just put them in the record after the vote based on the findings of fact and conclusions that you have.
Okay. So at this point, then, if they don't go in until after the vote, what is our next move at this point?
Well, I think, I don't know what the vote is.
Right, but I mean, at this point, should we hold a vote?
Yes, you should hold the vote.
Okay, thank you.
How much more time do we have on this?
One day. Tomorrow is the deadline. That's why we're doing it today.
Okay, and like I said, I believe from the last 2 weeks ago, it was a roll call vote.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Trustee Kelly,
No.
trustee Holdery,
No.
trustee Galvin,
Yes.
okay, trustee Leon,
Yes.
and mayor, no. Okay, so at this point, that motion, or that variance has been denied. And at this point, Nita, if you could put the finding of facts into the public record.
Here, there's a copy for you. Here's a copy.
Okay, and under item F, we have the University of Rochester's art installation request. I think you've all heard about that in our workshop. Any more questions or comments on that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Item G, Terry McLaughlin 2 Mile Memorial's cable swim. I believe that used to be called the Betsy Owen.
Yes, yeah, I'm not sure what point it changed. Then for a little while, they shared the name, and now it's.
So that is to run a cable for the race, which is on August 13th. Any questions or comments? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And item H, board support for establishing of a trailhead parking lot for Adirondack Rail Trail. I think you're all familiar with that. Any questions or comments? Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I believe at this point, they wanted me to sign a letter of support. Was that it?
It's a resolution, so I just have to certify it that the board all agreed to it.
Okay, so you don't need me to sign it.
The resolution passed.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Did you have anything else under clerk?
We have one more item. I emailed it to the board this afternoon. It is a couple who are asking for a noise ordinance permit application. They're having a wedding at the club, and these used to be overseen by Crown Plaza, and now the individuals have to come to the board individually to ask for permission. So she has written a letter, she's filled out the permit, she wrote to her neighbors and didn't hear back from anyone. So she is asking if she can have the time extended until 11 PM to continue her wedding reception outside on August 26th.
So, may I add some context?
Yeah, please, I know.
She's a fourth grade teacher at the elementary school. Since the Lucy's, like Placid Club, they're phasing out that. What's that, Miss Marchbanks? Yes. Sydney's teacher. And she put a lot of effort and work into, because it wasn't very easy to find who she needed to mail, and then she went and got all the names and mailed it, and she hasn't had a response back. So, maybe a response back saying, please don't, so.
Okay, anybody, I've had contact with Christina Lucy today. Anybody have other questions, or you want me to? So, this application this wedding was asked for before COVID, and they were on the books, and then when COVID, and they shut down and no longer do weddings there, catered and what have you, more or less let them know, but they did give them the option of doing their own catering and their own, just renting the venue sites. So in the past, we have had the Lucy's, when we give a noise variance, they apply for them. Now the people are applying individually. The Lucy's, not wanting to jeopardize noise variance in the future, would make sure things didn't get out of control. We no longer have that now, because we have a one and done. Once this person has their wedding and they're done, if they chose, they could make all kinds of noise, cause all kinds of problems, and we may never give another variance. And so we're kind of in a bit of a dilemma there, not saying that she would or wouldn't. But when I talked to Christina, she more or less said, she will not be the one in charge, and she more or less told her that she wouldn't give a variance or apply for one. So I think when we do it, my recommendation is that we could make this, if we make the recommendation for a noise variance, we should make it contingent upon that they be good neighbors. And if they really want to make noise, move it indoors, close inside and close the doors. And if not, and there are problems, the police will be sent up there and they'll shut it down.
Yeah, when we gave the Lucy's permission, it was always 10 o'clock that they had to go inside.
It varied,
It varied, yeah.
it was case by case. They would give us the time for each one.
Some
Some were 10, some were 11.
And some were 10, some were,
Yeah.
I think 11 in the past.
Yeah.
We never were a hard 10 o'clock.
Right.
But the other part of that too, as I say, is that you had the Lucy's who didn't want to jeopardize the next 30 coming, so they made sure things didn't get out of hand. And we're not going to have that this time.
Well, we're in new territory, so this is can be communicated that they're setting the tone for anyone that follows in suit, and if that's what.
Well, I think the way we're going to have to put that though is that if we decide that that's what we want to do, that we grant this noise variance except contingency, contingent upon the fact that, they do tone it down and keep it from getting really out of control, because we all know the later it gets, the louder the music gets, and that can't happen. And if it does, they just realize that when the police come up and shut them down, that'll be that. So
You should put the responsibility of this on the wedding planner. There's a wedding planner that will be on site during the whole
But the
thing.
wedding planner didn't ask for the variance, that'll be up to these people to do that, because otherwise their wedding music could get shut down. So at that point, Jackie, do you have any other comments, or anybody?
Big way to spell out for me.
I mean,
Makes sense.
I heard about this afternoon, we did our best, we made a few phone calls, and that was the only thing I could practically come up with. But I'm looking for any and all good board input, knowledge.
I was waiting for when she sent out the letters to see if she had received any response, and she hasn't. And from what my perspective is, you're looking at it from any sort of maybe a higher level next step sort of situation where if these, I don't know how many we're going to receive post-COVID, if they're even going to use that space, but we want to make sure that we set an expectation.
Well, and the other problem we're gonna run into is that people have gotten used to 2 years of peace and quiet all summer. Any noise is gonna seem out of the ordinary, but that's just part of the reopening of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
So at this point, it did come to us really late. The wedding isn't until
Late August.
late August. If you want, we can put this off. I just wanted to bring it up to you. We can vote on it tonight, or we can wait, talk about it in the workshop, or we can vote on it in 2 weeks. What's the board's pleasure?
I personally support it, and with your contingencies. Like, at what point are we going to stop opening up? You know, or maybe we have in the future set an example of what, that, you know, if you're going to have a variance, it can only be to a certain time, not just.
Could, just as a side
Sure.
note, because I've been to a couple weddings up there, and they've extended it at one point in time. That one went till 11 o'clock, but they had the DJ inside, so the music played out the doors. So if it did get too loud, you shut one set of doors so that you can still hear the music and dance outside if you want to, but it kind of mitigates,
Yeah, I don't think that she's having a DJ inside.
just as an option, you know, if
Yeah.
you wanted to go that route instead.
What's the board's pleasure? Do you want to vote on that tonight or wait 2 weeks? I'm happy either way. Are there any objections to voting on it tonight? I mean, we can wait. I mean, there's no big deal. If you need time to think about it, it's fine too. I mean, this is last minute, wasn't in the packet. Would everyone feel better if we waited?
I'd like to be some kind of option where the police can make them go inside if there is.
Well, we can shut down all the lights.
That can communicate that.
They have to know that.
Well, that's going to be part of the contingency.
Yeah.
So, she's not even, I mean, it's open-ended, right? We don't know how long.
To 11, she has basically, that you're looking at the letter, but behind that is.
Oh, okay. Oh, extending the time to, okay.
You know, I think if we do this, and we do vote tonight, it should be contingent upon, this is groundbreaking, and you've got to consider people around you, no matter the fact that you sent out noise questionnaires or not. To be considerate of people that live around there and go to bed at night.
So may I make a motion allowing, but with your contingents of,
Sure.
you want to reiterate just for the record, what specifically you wanted? The expectation.
Let's see, so it would be a motion to accept the noise variance extension from 9:30 to 11 with a contingency that, or it is advised you be a good neighbor and be careful how loud it gets. Move inside if that's the case. And if you can't follow those rules and we do have problems, that we will have to shut you down with the police department.
But I think you have to be clear, move inside as of what time?
9:30. I mean, they can actually legally be outside with our current noise ordinance until 9:30, correct?
Right, but
But I mean, in the past.
we've always just said, yes, you have a variance. The police, and so
Police will let them know.
the police will let them know.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go as far as you just.
Do you want to add the contact?
Could you phrase a good legal description for us?
I think if you're going to say the variance is granted with a warning that the outside activities have to stop at 11 or move inside. That's what we've done in the past.
Should we,
It's been very simple in the past.
should we have her designate a contact person for the police if there's any complaints that they can?
I mean, her wedding planner's number is on here.
Okay.
It's listed as a responsible party.
Okay.
So Jan, my concern is all we're saying there is that even though we granted a noise extension till 11, we still have the right, if it's too loud, to go up and shut them down. Is that what you're saying? Even before 9:30?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, well,
I mean,
because all it sounded like you were doing was extending it from 9:30 to 11.
but that's all we've done in
That's
the
what
past.
It is.
Right, but in the past, we've had the Lucy's there, kind of like a den mother. looking
Right, but
over
you,
things.
in the past, they would come in with 6 or 7
That's right.
and you let them all happen. And if number 3 was bad, we didn't say 4, 5, 6, and 7 couldn't come.
No, but the Lucy's, when I mentioned that, Christina, she agreed that if there were big problems that may jeopardize them in the future, and she said they have worked to tone people down. They won't be there to do that anymore, so
Well,
kind of
maybe,
in new
maybe you ask,
territory.
I don't know what you do in this case. It's because you're right, it's a one and done, but you're either gonna grant them the variance or you're not. And our noise ordinance prescribes that noise not go beyond the boundary of the property, and there's a decibel requirement and everything that I don't even know, quite frankly, that we even have a decibel meter that can measure. And have we ever had a noise complaint from any neighbor?
Chuck says no, I checked with him.
Do we think this is gonna be any different than any other?
I have no reason to think so.
Huh? They're gonna get rounder?
It's easier to go real along here.
I mean, they're asking for a variance. I don't know what conditions you can put on it. If you say, oh, you're too noisy at 10, but you've granted them to be outdoors with entertainment until 11. I don't know. I honestly, I didn't know about this until 5 minutes ago, but I don't know how you can put a condition on it that says if you're too rowdy, we're gonna shut you down. You want a deposit?
No, then the only other alternative is to deny it.
Yeah. But I don't know, I don't know whether it was measurable for prior event operators at that venue to say, okay, you're too noisy and you're jeopardizing our future business here. I don't know.
According to the Christina Lucy, she said they did do that. Things got too loud, they quieted it down a little bit.
So throughout the conversations when I had with Elizabeth this morning, the Crown Plaza did not offer any help identifying who they needed to contact. However, they did not say, we discourage this either.
Right. So
that's what I understand.
The
So
way it's working is you rent the space, you bring your own people in to do your food, your entertainment, whatever. It's strictly a lease of space now. There's no other services being provided by the Crown Plaza. That's the way I understand it.
That's right.
What's happening there.
I think my advice on this, seeing how we got a time limit of another 12 minutes, we have to be downstairs. Let us table this for now, or not even table because it's not on the agenda. And let us talk to the wedding planner, as Jackie said, and see what can be worked out and we can vote on it. There's plenty
The
of
wedding
time.
planner has some skin in the game. If they want to have
That's right.
other events there, then.
Yeah, that might be a good way to go. And it gives us a chance to have 2 weeks. Like I said, we didn't have any time to think or talk about this. It came up last minute. So with it, unless someone has an objection.
well,
Having a wedding, you want to know.
yeah, that's since it's seeing based on what we've done in the past, I can understand the concern, what we want to do moving forward, but just seems
But
consistent.
in the past, you
with us.
always had it at least by Friday. You didn't get this until right now.
Well,
This wouldn't be consistent with anything.
I think she submitted it like a couple weeks ago.
Well, we've been going
Back
back
and
and forth,
forth.
but today is the first day she actually submitted anything to me.
This is the
Okay.
first I heard about it.
Oh, okay.
Like at about 2 this afternoon.
So what was?
So like I say, my advice at this point is let's take a chance to further talk about it in the workshop, maybe have Anita reach out to the wedding planner, and we can vote on it by next board meeting.
So I
Which is
guess,
still a good month ahead of when they're having their wedding.
sure, I'm just, it's, but if you were to, like, your specific concerns, I guess, that's a contact individual, is that a specific concern? I guess when the discussion, just so that.
His concern is that if they screw up, there's no
Recourse.
because it's a one and done.
So at 10:30, if they're screaming and, hooting and hollering and Jim Lawson has a problem with it,
Too bad, Jim.
We can't, but we can't say, okay, you can't ever have any more events here, because,
Because that's the only one they're having.
right.
Not that they would do that.
Is this their last one?
Consideration. What's
Is
their,
this the Lucy's last wedding?
the
No,
Lucy's
this
are
is
not
not
requesting.
theirs. Elizabeth Markbank's last shot. So she's applying for this one time.
Mhm.
So if she does something wrong, it's not like we can say, well, you're never gonna have one again.
In the past, she would
Never
have
gonna give you
applied
one
for this, the
again.
Lucy's would have done it already.
Sure, I guess what I'm trying to understand is that, are we trying to create a policy regarding this moving forward, then that would be
A precedent,
applied
sure.
after the
Precedent,
fact?
because this is something brand new.
And you're concerned,
Because she could run it for everybody.
okay,
We get tons of complaints. And
is it the time as well, or like the 11 o'clock, 10:30 more palatable? I guess I'm just trying to.
I think it's going to be the level of noise. As you just didn't make it sound like school teachers, you didn't, I don't know if you were kidding or not.
No, I was, I'm like,
Yeah, but I do think, a couple more weeks at least to talk to everyone concerned wouldn't be a bad idea.
If they ended at 9:30, we wouldn't be here. It's all about going past 9:30.
sure. Oh, yeah, and I just, I'm just trying to.
It's like I say, we got 9 minutes, we have to be downstairs at our next meeting, so let's not bring that up at this point. We'll discuss it in our workshop and have a chance to talk to all the people concerned, we'll vote next meeting. Okay, anything else to come from clerk?
Oh, no, that is all.
Warrants and affidavit. Thank you, Jackie.
No, I
don't
know.
know.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Looking the wrong way.
Did you enjoy your week off? Any questions or concerns? Could I have a motion to accept warrant affidavit number 22?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Under new business, we have a public hearing to set up again for another short-term rental variance request.
Yes, I emailed this to all of you late last week, so I just wondering if we can do it at the next, prior to the next board meeting, which would be, the 18th at 4:45. 15 minutes seems to be long enough for them. And if that's fine with all of you, then I will just put out the notice tomorrow.
No one's complaining. Take that as a yes.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. Anything else come under new business? Old business? Nothing under mayor items. Commissioner reports. Main Street is going really great. We're waiting for the 12 by 12 pieces of granite to be available. Blue spruce will come back at that time, finish up the sidewalks. They're going to be finishing up the laterals between Town Hall and the traffic light in the next 10 days, and then Kaburki will leave. And if we're super lucky, by mid-September now, not mid-October, they'll be paving and basically done.
Do we have a timetable? I know that since last workshop, getting the granite.
They hope to have it within the week.
Blue Spruce had to be gone for 2 weeks anyway, because they
Did
moved
they?
to another job.
Okay. Maybe that was partly because we didn't have the product.
Yeah,
So they keep going.
more.
Yeah, and the contractor said then going forward, once we get this pallet, then will be one, or this load, there'll be one load per week thereafter.
And then the other problem we had was in front of Starbucks, that when they did the sample, they said everything was fine, but then when they sent it in, they found a trace, so they dug a little deeper and sent it in again, and hopefully by then that'll be cleared up, and that'll be done. And if you look, there's not much to do other than in front of Starbucks, and then down around the municipal parking lot. So it'll be very easy for them to stay out of the road.
For former Mercy Hotel, the great.
But that's still, part of the construction zone, they'll stay out of the main road and be in the footprint of the sidewalk. So things are going really good there, and like I say, with luck, we will not have the detour back, and
There's no reason for it.
Yep, but never want to say never, you never know. Okay, so that's about all I've got under commissioner reports. Any comments from public?
I'm curious, am I able to speak on this at all or ask questions at some point in time?
I didn't give,
Am I able to speak on the decision that was made or ask?
Sure. I don't know any other answer.
Okay, I've got to leave, so I'm just saying, you might, sure, you can, or you might want to come in tomorrow and ask the questions. It's up to you.
Who would I be speaking with tomorrow?
Well, you could call me if you'd like, or the mayor, or,
Well, yeah, I'm kind of, I mean, this would be for the 5 people that actually voted. So I think it makes sense to actually speak to the people
Sure.
that did vote. So it's my understanding that purpose of presenting in front of the board was to be able to then go and receive the permit. So you're not actually issuing the permit or anything like that.
You're actually asking for a variance from our moratorium,
Exactly.
and that was denied at this point.
Yeah.
I guess the question is now, do you have a certificate of occupancy for the places where you wanted your vacation rentals?
At this point, no,
What's
but
your timeline in having them?
I mean, we're hoping in the next 2 to 3 weeks, which would still allow us approximately 6 weeks of income during the summer months, which is the busiest time in Lake
Right.
Placid, as everyone knows.
Because our moratorium is only for 2 months, you're halfway through that. But
More than halfway.
So what happens after that moratorium? She can get the short-term rental permit?
anything can happen after the moratorium.
When she came in to begin with, because she was going on sick.
So you might want to stick around for the
Because
5:30 presentation.
5:30 meeting is the presentation from Dean Dietrich on the findings of the public comments he got.
The presentations regarding.
And that's really what our board's gonna be listening to, and then we'll be meeting to see where we're gonna head after the moratorium goes.
She's commercial zone, she's in commercial.
We actually don't have commercial, believe it or not, we don't have commercial districts. It's, am I right, Jackie, on that?
Right, it's not listed as a commercial district.
It's the strangest thing, but I agree with you. You would think that,
I
wouldn't
mean,
you?
everywhere around is commercial.
It's called business.
Well,
It's called, right,
commercial,
well,
you know.
the planning board doesn't look at it as commercial it is strange, for whatever.
Well, when it was sold to me, it was sold as a mixed use for commercial and residential. So if that is language that is used, and that is what is being put out there publicly for, as an intention for the use of property, if that's something that needed to be curbed from the beginning, then yeah. But that has nothing to do with this. What did you need from me? Because we had 29 days where people were in question, and I could have provided proof for certain things that obviously you may not have had. I mean, to say that between a undisclosed fire damage, an eviction, now this, if there weren't hardships, where 6 weeks potentially of later income would have helped new people start a business. Like, I'm a little bit baffled. Like, you had time, I even said, if you have any questions, I'm happy to prove, you know? But no one called me, no one said, hey, we have a question. You know, I'm curious about this, I don't feel like I have enough knowledge. You obviously took the time because you felt you had a hardship. And I'm happy to continue to prove my hardship. But it can't come without dialogue from the other side. Like, when you started your business, if you had all those things up against you, wouldn't it have been difficult or even more difficult than starting a business? So
Andrea, I'm happy to respond to you on why I voted. And I was fully aware of your hardship, and you didn't need to give me, dollars and cents. I voted no based on the moratorium halted all new permits. And I was challenged, it was challenging for me to differentiate between what you were doing and, what a second homeowner was doing. It was, I know you don't see that difference because you're heavily involved, but, and as I've said, you have another option.
I have a motel on one side, a lodging on another. and
Correct.
McDonald's across the street.
Correct.
So there's a big difference between me.
Not necessarily, because Charlie Walsh's house has got the summit on one side. I mean, if you look at everything, but that was my personal vote. And I can't speak for Peter and I can't speak for Art. Just going with the reason why the moratorium was put in place was to give everybody breathing room to figure out where we needed to go next. That's why I voted no.
And as Jackie said, you do have the ability to become a motel if you want to go that route right now or at the time.
She's been told that from the beginning.
Well, you had that ability at any
Last
time.
week, girl, we.
No, a month, 5 weeks ago, I told her. Yeah, when the application, yes, I came to you and it wasn't a good day.
I mean, at this point, you could just become a motel. I mean, that wouldn't shut you down. And it's not to say that this won't, in 2 months, when we're done with the moratorium, that you won't be able to proceed as you want.
Yeah, it's really having like the additional income. When the time comes and we receive our certificate of occupancy.
If it comes in the next if it comes in the next 3 to 4, it could be 2 months for all we know.
For all I know too, things happen.
Yeah.
COVID could shut everything down again. Who knows? I don't know, right? But when that time comes, it was literally just to say, okay, you can move forward. And you basically have said, you cannot move forward.
You can move forward. At this point, you cannot be guaranteed that you'll have a short-term variant. I mean, we don't know what the law is going to be at the end of 2 months.
Mhm.
That's after tonight's meeting, that's what we have to sit down and start hashing through. Like I said, don't by no means consider this that you're never going to get it.
No, I
I
don't
mean,
consider it a never,
It's
but
just that it's going to be 2 more months before you'll know for sure. You know, in the meantime, hopefully you could get a long-term rental. There's nothing stopping you from doing that once you have a CO.
She had such a bad experience with a person in there that that's the last thing she wants to do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I get it.
you don't know what she went through to get
well,
that
I
person
also
out.
have to pay a lot of bills that I didn't have to pay for before. So there are
Because of
other
the-
things aside from that. So.
Okay.
Emily Kilburn is saying they need to get started because a lot of people are on the call.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Emily, any questions for Lauren?
Yeah, we need to adjourn.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Second. Anybody? Second. All in favor?
We are shutting down this meeting and you can join in the meeting at the link that the town sent out.